New tonight at 10, the Quincy School Board voted tonight to place a 1% school facilities tax on your November ballot in Adams County. If it's approved, the sales tax would apply to retail purchases but not apply to groceries, prescriptions, vehicles, farm equipment, or other services. They say an estimated 60% of the revenue would be paid by visitors who shop in Adams County and live elsewhere. The ballot question is the first step in a two-part plan identified through the Quincy Together meetings.
We are grateful for the engagement, feedback, and partnership of our community throughout this process and look forward to continuing these conversations as we work together to support a strong, financially stable future for Quincy and all of QPS students.
If it's approved by a simple majority, the board says sales tax revenue would be shared by all of Adams County school districts based on enrollment. Each district's board would then decide how to use its share within state guidelines.